Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Security Plus podcast. This series helps you prepare for the CompTIA Security Plus exam with focused explanations and practical context. For a companion study guide, check out the Achieve CompTIA Security Plus 701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. It is the most concise and complete Security Plus guide on the market, built for busy professionals who want to pass the exam fast and on their first try. You can find this book and others at cyberauthor.me. Whether it's a workstation in a school lab, a server in a data center, or a virtual machine in the cloud, every operating system is a potential target. And because the operating system controls everything from user access to application execution, securing it is one of the most important things any cybersecurity team can do. In this episode, we focus on two major operating system security enhancements: group policy management in Windows environments, and the use of security-enhanced Linux, also known as SELinux, for hardening Linux-based systems. Let's start with group policy management. In Windows environments, group policy provides centralized control over system settings, security configurations, and user permissions. Administrators use group policy objects, commonly known as GPO, to apply rules across users, computers, and organizational units in Active Directory. The group policy allows administrators to enforce standards like password complexity, account lockout policies, software installation restrictions, desktop security configurations, and audit logging. Once a GPO is created and linked to a domain or organizational unit, it automatically applies the specified settings to all systems and users in that scope. One of the main advantages of group policy is consistency. Instead of configuring each workstation manually, administrators can apply changes across hundreds or thousands of systems at once. This reduces human error, saves time, and ensures that all endpoints follow the same security baseline. Let's consider a practical example. A financial services company wants to enforce account lockout after 5 failed login attempts to prevent brute force attacks. Rather than configuring each system individually, the security team creates a group policy object that defines the lockout threshold, duration, and reset period. They link the GPO to the entire domain, and the policy is applied across all user workstations and servers during the next policy refresh. Within minutes, every system complies with the standard, no scripting or local access required. Group policy also allows for software restriction policies. These can prevent users from executing unauthorized applications, installing browser extensions, or running macros from unknown locations. This helps stop malware infections that rely on user actions, such as opening infected documents or downloading rogue tools. Another important use of group policy is enabling security auditing. Administrators can configure systems to log specific events, such as logon attempts, file access, or configuration changes, and send those logs to a centralized security information and event management system. These audit logs are critical for incident response, compliance, and forensic investigations. However, group policy must be managed carefully. Poorly designed GPOs can conflict, override each other, or apply to unintended systems. Best practices include organizing policies by function, using clear naming conventions, testing in isolated environments, and applying the principle of least privilege. Administrators should document all GPOs and regularly review them to ensure they're still relevant and effective. Now let's turn to Linux systems and explore security-enhanced Linux, commonly referred to as SELinux. Security-enhanced Linux is a set of kernel-level security modules that enforce mandatory access control policies on Linux systems. Developed by the United States National Security Agency and maintained by the open-source community, SELinux adds a powerful layer of isolation and policy enforcement beyond traditional user and group permission. With standard Linux permissions, access control is discretionary. This means that users or the applications they run can change file permissions, which can introduce risk. With SELinux, access control is mandatory. The system enforces predefined security policies that define which processes can access which files, ports, or resources, regardless of file ownership or user roles. SELinux uses security contexts to label files, processes, and ports. These labels are used in combination with policy rules to allow or deny access. If a process attempts to access a file in a way that violates the SELinux policy, the action is denied, even if the standard file permissions would allow it. Let's walk through a practical example. A web server running on Linux is configured to serve content from the directory var/www. Under traditional Linux permissions, if an attacker gains control of the web server process, they might access other directories owned by the same user, like SE, or var/log. But with SELinux enabled and properly configured, the web server process is restricted to its designated context. It cannot read, write, or even see files outside its allowed scope. Even if the attacker controls the process, their access remains tightly limited. SELinux also protects against privilege escalation. If malware runs as a user process and attempts to access system binaries, kernel modules, or secure storage, SELinux policies can block the attempt. This containment model makes it much harder for threats to spread or escalate privileges. SELinux operates in 3 modes. Enforcing mode actively blocks unauthorized actions and logs denials. Permissive mode logs policy violations but does not block them. Useful for testing and tuning. And disabled mode turns off SELinux entirely. Most security professionals recommend starting in permissive mode to observe behavior, then switching to enforcing mode once policies are verified. However, managing SELinux can be complex. Policies must be tailored to your environment, and unexpected denials can break applications. That's why tools like SE Troubleshoot and Audit to allow exist to help administrators diagnose issues and update policies as needed. Documentation and community support are essential when deploying SELinux in production environments. Beyond SELinux, Linux hardening includes many other best practices. These include disabling unused services, setting strong file permissions, configuring logging, and using AppArmor, which is another mandatory access control system. Combined with SELinux, or used separately, these enhancements help lock down systems and reduce the attack surface. To summarize, operating system security enhancements help enforce consistency, control access, and reduce the likelihood of compromise. Group policy management allows Windows administrators to define and enforce security configurations at scale, ensuring that all systems follow the same rules. Security-enhanced Linux strengthens Linux environments with mandatory access control that isolates processes, restricts access, and prevents escalation. Together, these tools provide foundational security for diverse computing environments. For the Security Plus exam, expect questions about how group policy works, what types of policies can be enforced, and how SELinux enhances access control. You may be asked to interpret a policy scenario, identify the correct SELinux mode, or choose the right security enhancement for a given use case. Review terms like mandatory access control, group policy object inheritance, policy enforcement, and security context labeling. They are all relevant to real-world administration and exam success. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersecurity Plus podcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com. And before you take the test, make sure to check out the practice questions in the book Achieve CompTIA Security Plus SY0-701 Exam Success by Dr. Jason Edwards. They cover every domain and are a powerful way to lock in your knowledge.